Hi everybody, this is Darren with Save the Panel, and I have a special Halloween edition video today. Just a little fun automation we've created with some of our favorites. The ZSE50 outdoor motion sensor and a Zen 58 relay and our ZSE50 Siren Chime all working together to provide a little ambiance. A little ambiance for the trick-or-treaters this year coming up to the front door. So we'll get into how we built this and some of the details. And the highlight of today's video is this is all on the Z-Box. So we'll dive into a little bit of Lua Code. I'm not a Lua expert, but became one just a little bit for this video. So stay tuned and we'll explore this together. I want to send a thank you to Zooz for providing the products for today's video. Be sure to check out their products at thesmartesthouse.com and getzooz.com. So before we get too far into this, let's take a look at this outdoor motion sensor, which we haven't reviewed really on the channel here. It's a ZSE50, supports 800 LR. Like most Zooz devices, and this guy is great. We can mount him outdoor to a building. He's weather tight. There are batteries inside, so you can power this with the batteries, or there are connectors on the bottom to power this with 12 to 24 volt AC or DC, which is very handy. And it comes with a connector on the bottom to make those wire connections weather tight if you should so choose. So we've had this in our arsenal for a bit, and I thought for Halloween this year I'm going to mount this on the front of my house such that we can catch folks walking up the driveway, and as they come up they'll get some flashing lights and some spooky sounds. And what's neat is as I built this, and you'll see this in the code segment in a minute, I have actually 4 different spooky sound files which we randomized through as they're triggered by the motion sensor. Let's take a look now at the specs for this motion sensor and also the parameter file. You know I love to look at parameter files. So let's take a look at the Zooz outdoor motion sensor. As I said, we haven't reviewed this before. It is IP66 rated for outdoor use. It has a nice mounting plate on the back. It seems to, in my little bit of use of it, is rather sensitive, accurate. It has a configurable recovery time, which I really like. But probably the nicest piece, especially for my current temporary use case, is that it operates on batteries. However, you can also power it off of 12 to 24 volts AC or DC if you like. And I believe if it's powered, it also acts as a Z-Wave repeater for your mesh, which is very nice. In my current project here, I have it attached as LR. With batteries, because I'm going to put it up temporarily for the Halloween weeks here in the front of the house and maybe repurpose it later. So we're just sticking with batteries for now. But it also gives us motion, beyond motion rather. It gives us lux for brightness and temperature reporting, which also really helps, if you use this for, say, motion lights to make sure that, it's actually dark out and you sense motion. And if both things are happening, then you turn your floodlights on, that kind of thing. Which is very nice. If we were to look at the specs here, those batteries are CR123As. It has up to 30 feet of motion detection, which is nice because I want to shoot down my driveway for this little project and catch people as they walk up to spring up some flashing lights and some nice holiday music in this case for Halloween. Let's take a look at the advanced settings. You can, of course, set your motion sensitivity, how long it takes for the motion to clear. That defaults to 30 seconds. In the case of this testing, for instance, I've set it down to 10 seconds, so I can do multiple tests in a row, which we'll see in a second. You can change, all the other things you would expect. Temperature reporting units. Does the LED turn on or not when it senses motion? How it handles low battery alerts. How often it sends the battery check and the temperature check and the lux check back to the hub, and various reporting thresholds. How often is it going to report, which is nice to tweak depending on your needs. Helps to save the battery life for sure. And even offsets to help calibrate it against reality to make sure it's giving you accurate information. So as usual, lots of parameters here to configure it the way you want. Well, as I mentioned, one thing we're doing a little differently today is we're building this project in the Zooz Z-Box. I really love this device as a Z-Wave hub. One thing about the Z-Box, it is pure in spirit in that it is only a Z-Wave hub. It is all local processing. Nothing's in the cloud. You get remote access and an app on your phone for no additional charge. I tend to use this not only for certain special cases, but also whenever I have a device or something that's malfunctioning, I can bring it back to the Z-Box and I can get into the bowels of the device or how it's talking, how it's interacting, and really use it almost as a diagnostic tool, as crazy as that is. But, here in my house, I have a gazillion products. My whole house is basically a test lab, a little bit of everything, but I do really appreciate this device for being very pure of spirit and really being as rock solid as you can get in terms of a Z-Wave hub. And now what's very interesting about that is there is a Home Assistant integration for the Z-Box, so it is possible to use your Z-Box and manage it from within Home Assistant. I haven't gotten my hands into that just yet, but I do plan to very soon. That is a very exciting partnership. So for our Halloween automation today, everything is down here in this room called Outside Holiday. So we have our motion sensor, we have its temperature and light data that comes from the motion sensor. This is the ZSE50 sound switch. And we have a Halloween strobe, which is really the Zen 58. As you saw, it's just running on 12 volts and powering that 12 volt flashing sec-alarm strobe. If we go into, oh, look at that, it logged me out. Don't you love that? So if we go into devices here, and we should filter by room. Perfect. We can see these devices in a different view. If I manually, click these on or off, I certainly can. So basically, we have all the parts and pieces. But what I needed to do, of course, was a couple of things. One is on the ZSE50 here, I needed to load all of my sounds, and what I have is a whole bunch of sounds, and some of them I have a file name issue here, but what I did was I had downloaded 4 unique Halloween sounds, and what I wanted to do is, as motion is detected at random, I want the scene or the Lua script to pick one of the 4 and play it when motion is detected. So first things first, let's take a look at loading the files onto the ZSE50. Okay, so I am on a Mac, and what I did was I really manipulated the sound files a bit here, and I don't want to go into grave detail on how to connect the device. It's in another video I did on the ZSE50 review. But for those who have actually used the ZSE50, you may realize that there's some peculiarity with how sound files are loaded. And there's a lot of talk on this on the Zooz Community page. If anyone's not a member of this community, you really need to go sign up. There's great conversations out here, and there's a whole thread here, which I'll put in the video description, on the ZSE50 and trials and tribulations related to loading files and how they kind of go in out of order. And I think we covered that in our previous video about it. But there was a great post here. Let me see if I can find it right here by this gentleman who had realized that if you remove all the files from the ZSE50 and put them in a certain order, they'll maintain that order, and you can have some sanity as far as those files and the way they load and what their number is. So I kind of took that, and this is my post here, which again, the link will be there. Oops. And these are some directions and a script that if you're on a Mac or a Linux machine, you can run this script that I've created to lay those files down in a way that makes sense. Of course, there's still some bugs and peculiarities, but it does work fairly well. And for those of you that are curious, here's the here's the script itself that that runs, and basically it will take the MP3 files that you have in your default directory and sort them by file name, and then write them to your ZSE50. So here I have the ZSE50 shows up as no name, as a device called no name. And here are those files. And you'll notice what I did was I manually renamed all my files such that when they're alpha sorted, they actually show up in the right number order. So the 12th file really will be alert 12, for instance. And that makes sense later when needing to update something. So if I can maintain this, and then later, say I take these 4 Halloween files and I replace them with 4 Christmas files, as long as I number them the same and then rerun my script, other automations I have, maybe using alerts 7 and 8, are now not going to change their number. It's really, really cool. I encourage you to read the article on how that works, and show you this in action. You just do load ZSE50. It copies all those files over, and there's also an issue on the Mac with having some dot files in the destination directory, which kind of confuses the ZSE50. I have that cleanup built into the script as well. So that ran. So everything is there as it should be in the correct order. Okay, so now that we have our sound files, and just as a refresher here, the Halloween files are 12, 13, 14, and 15. So in addition to just doing a simple automation where you see motion, you play a sound, and you flash the light. Sounds kind of simple, right? But we need to randomize the selection of one of those 4 files. So what I did here was my first foray into Lua. For those of you who are Lua experts, I'm sure you're going to have a lot to say about my code, but it is what it is, and it is functional. So basically what we're doing here is if ID 176 is our motion sensor, if we have motion, do all these actions. The first thing I'm doing is I'm changing some parameters. Device 181 is our ZSE50 Siren Chime. So I'm setting a few parameters. The first is to play until stopped. I want to loop this Halloween sound until I tell the thing to stop. I want to set the volume. Well, for demo purposes, I have it set to 30. Come Halloween night, this might be at 100. I want to shout it down the driveway. Set the strobe to 1, which is a flashing strobe, and I want the color to be white. Why not? But then I need to do some randomizations. So I'm seeding my random seed here for a random number generator, and then I'm asking the system to do a random number between 12 and 15. And I'm dumping this to a log just so I can see not only what number was selected, but was my seed indeed unique? Because it's funny, statistically speaking, you run this over and over again, certain numbers keep coming up a lot more than others. But I'm actually going to show you that in a second. We're also setting the tone. So this is based on the value that is selected, the randomized value n. That is the value we're going to play right here. So this is the line that actually commands it to play that file. And then we're going to wait for demo purposes. For today, I have it set to 10 seconds. This might be longer on Halloween night. So for this duration, the sound file will play, the light will strobe, Oh, and I left this out. 183 is our light, so that turns on our strobe. And then after 10 seconds, I'm going to turn both of them off. But the other thing I'm going to do is set my default parameters for my ZSE50 back to the way I like them. And these are for the lab. So I have the volume real low at 10. I like the pulsing light that is purple in color, and I want to play a file only once normally in the lab. So I kind of, set my parameters, do something special, set them back the way they were. So let's turn on some debugging here. And we need the random. Here it is, random. And you can see I've run this a lot of times before here. I've got where it had randomized the options, but we're going to force it to do just a couple more. And actually, I'm going to change my delay from 10 seconds just to a second. So you may or may not even hear any noise because some of these files have a little bit of white space at the beginning. Actually, let's make it 2 seconds of sleep, just so we can kind of watch this work and watch it pick different. There we go. First, we got to turn the scene back on. So let's run it and see what we get. So remember this this one at 328 was from before. So let's run it. And you can see here that it picked 12 again, but indeed that seed is unique. We'll run it again. Let's see, now it's preferring 12. That's very interesting. Oops, I hit it too fast. Oh, there, now it shows 13. We'll run it again. Oh, now it shows 15. And we'll run it again. 15 again. So it is randomized, but boy, it likes to pick. Oh, there's 12 finally. Fantastic. And 12 again. 15 again. So it's indeed randomizing on each run. So when we set this delay, to something larger, say 20 seconds to play, we can be fairly confident that it's going to pick one of those 4 Halloween songs at random. And just for giggles, this is now live. I'm going to wave my hand in front of the motion sensor. It looks like we got 12. Not sure if you can hear that. I have the volume a little low. But that song delayed because this file has white space at the beginning, which I could edit out with Audacity or something like that, but I just have not. So, works great. So as far as wiring this up, this we've done many times on the channel is simple Zen58 relay, 12 volt power brick there. The Zen58 is being powered by 12 volts and we'll close the circuit, bringing power to the strobe. I am going to change that strobe cover here in a second to be clear. I have a nice little project box for this, and no, it's not waterproof. We're gonna hope for a dry Halloween and take this whole bundle and toss it in the front flower bed and let the white light reflect off the house. The ZSE50 will be plugged in nearby to provide the sound, and hopefully it'll be dry. Thank you for joining me on this fun little build. I really appreciated the opportunity to dive deeper into Lua and take some of these spare parts on my workbench and turn them into something cool for this Halloween. Don't forget to visit our forum at savethepanel.com for additional details and discussion. I'll also include links to the products, scripts, and articles mentioned in the video description. If you like this video, please like, follow, comment, and share. I read every comment and I'm always open to suggestions and would love to hear about home automation projects that you are working on.